the sum and product of the roots of a quadratic equation. Okay, let's have this one. Again, let's start with the quadratic equation in general form. We have ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. And then the formula for the quadratic formula, this one. Okay. If you want to get the sum of the roots, just for, if you're curious, kunyari, meron kayong quadratic equation, tapos, hindi nyo goal kuhanin yung pinaka-roots, pero ang gusto nyo na lang, ano yung value ng roots kapag pinag-plus ko sila? Or, ano kaya yung value ng roots kapag pinag-multiply ko sila? Again, what if you're not interested on the roots, rather you're interested on the sum and product of the roots? Okay? Do you have a short way of doing it? Do you have a formula for that? And that's what we're going to find out. So the sum and product of the roots of a quadratic equation, let's start with this one. So if you notice the plus or minus here indicates that there are two roots. The one is with the plus and the other one is with the minus. So your first root, x sub 1, is equivalent to negative b plus square root of b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2a. And then the other one is x sub 2 is equivalent to negative b, the minus b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. Now, if we want to get the sum, x sub 1 plus x sub 2, then let's add the two roots. Notice that they have similar denominators, so you can just add the numerators and then copy the denominators. The denominator, so we'll have 2a in the denominator and we'll get negative b. And then minus b, kasi I'll be taking this and then this one. And then we have plus square root of b squared minus 4ac minus square root of b squared minus 4ac, which will eventually cancel each other kasi it's a plus and a minus. And then we'll get negative b divided by 2a. And you can divide everything by 2. So you will get minus b over a. So therefore, the sum of the roots, x of 1 plus x of 2. So you can just get the value of b, and then divide by 8. So this is your a short way on finding the sum of the roots if you don't want to get the actual roots. Okay, that's negative b over 8. Product. Let's talk about the product of the roots. So again, let's use the two roots, x of 1 and x of 2. So when we get the product, you basically multiply them. So we'll get minus b plus square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a times negative b minus b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. Okay, so medyo mukhang ang hirap i-multiply nito, no? Paano natin i-multiply yan? We're going to multiply this. So to multiply this, notice that yung ilalim natin problema that will become 4a squared. Pero yung ibabaw, notice that if this is a, if this is m, n natin yung square root of b squared minus 4ac, and then m, this will become the negative of n. So basically, you're multiplying this, m plus n times m minus n. Okay, again, if you let minus b to be m, and then square root of b squared minus 4ac to be n, then the other one will be m minus n. So how do we multiply this one? m plus n times m minus n. Anybody? Ano to? Anong form yan? Sa special products, parang alam na natin yan.
So hindi po ba a squared minus b squared?
Okay, very good. A squared minus b squared. This is sum and difference of two squares, di ba? Hindi pala. Tama, difference of two squares. This is difference of two squares, a squared minus b. So ang gagawin na lang natin dito, i-square natin yung una, which is minus b, minus square natin tong pangalawa, which is b square root of, again, we'll square the first one, minus the square of the second one, b squared minus 4ac. we're going to get the square of this. And what will happen is minus b squared, that is b squared, and then mawawala lang yung square root. So it will become minus b squared minus 4ac. And then this is divided by 4a squared. And then let's distribute the minus sign. It will become b squared minus b squared plus 4ac all divided by 4a squared. B squared and b squared will cancel each other, and then we will left 4ac over 4. A squared is a times a, so we'll cancel 4, one of the a, and therefore the value of the product of the roots is c over a. Okay? So x of 1 times x of 2 equals c over a. So again, if you don't want to get the roots, but you are interested on getting the product of the roots, don't compute for the roots and just get the value of c and then divide by the value of a. Find the sum and product of the roots of 6x squared minus 5x plus 1. And the other one is 2x squared minus 9x plus 4. On the first one, remember let's have sum of the roots, x of 1 plus x of 2. That's equivalent to minus b over a minus b over a. Okay? Let's first determine pala the values of a and b. A, b, and c. A is equal to 6. B is equal to minus 5. And c is equal to 1. And the sum of the roots is minus b over a. So ito yung tatanong kayo ni Lance. It's minus 5 over 6. And then we'll get a minus and a minus that will give you a plus 5 divided by over 6. And therefore the sum of the roots is 5 over 6. For the product of the roots, x of 1, x of 2, that is c over a. Remember, kailangan yung quadratic equation mo nakasulat in general form. So kung hindi siya nakasulat in general form, you have to rewrite first bago mo kuhanin yung values ng a, b, and c. So c over a, that is 1 over 6. So the sum of the roots is 1 over 6, and the product of the roots is 5 over 6. How about the other one? For fun, let's determine the roots using GeoGebra. I-verify natin kung ang sum ba talaga ay 5 over 6 at ang product ay 1 over 6. So that is 6x squared minus 5x plus 1 equals 0. Let's get the roots. Okay, so the roots are 1/3 and 1/2. 1/3 times 1/2, product of the roots, that's 1 over 6, 1/3 times 1/2. And the sum of the roots, 1/3 plus 1/2, is basically 5 over 6. Okay, so let's have number 2. Let's get the values of a, b, and c. A is equal to 2, b is equal to minus 9, and c is equal to plus 4. And the sum of the roots, x sub 1 plus x sub 2, is equal to minus b over a, and your b is minus 9. So it's minus negative 9 divided by 2, minus, we'll get plus 9 over 2, or 4.5. And then the product of the roots, x sub 1, x sub 2, is equal to c over a. And your c is 4 divided by 2. 4 divided by 2, that's 2. Again, let's verify using GeoGebra. So that's 2x squared minus 9x plus 4 equals 0. Let's determine the roots. We'll get 1/2 and 4. 4 plus 1/2. That's 4.5. So tama tayo, 9 over 2. And then what's the product? 4 times 1/2. That's 2. I give you the roots. And then you give me the quadratic equation. So pabaliktad. Dati, from quadratic equation, we're going to get the roots. But this time, given ko yung roots and then give me the corresponding quadratic equation. In this case, I'm going to show you 2 ways. The first way is using the reverse of the factoring method. Remember, if you have x plus 3, x plus 5 as our root, this is method number 1. It should end up at x equals 3 or x equals 5. Ibig sabihin, nanggaling sila sa x minus 3 equals 0 or x minus 5 equals 0. Okay? So ito na yung in-apply na yung zero product property. So we're working backwards. And then, galing to sa x minus 3 times x minus 5 equals 0. Remember, ito pa lang yung gagamitan ng zero product property, kaya siya nahiwalay, x minus 3 equals 0 and x minus 5 equals 0. So what we're going to do is we're going to just multiply this. X times x, that's x squared. X times minus 5, that's minus 5x. Negative 3 times x, that's minus 3x. And minus 3 times minus 5, that is plus 15, equals 0. So it will become x squared minus 8x plus 15 equals 0. So therefore, this is your quadratic equation. Roots are 3 and 5. That's one method. The other method is by using the sum and product of the roots. Okay, so the roots are x of 1 equals 3 and x of 2 equals 5. If you get the sum, x of 1 plus x of 2, sum of the roots is 5 plus 3, that's 8. This is equivalent to minus b over a. And when you get the product of the roots, x of 1 times x of 2, this is equivalent to 5 times 3, that is 15, which is equivalent to c over a. So we'll have ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. And then look what happened if you divide everything by a. If you divide everything by a, and that will become x squared plus b over a plus c over a equals 0. Look at this one. The b over a is equivalent to the negative of the sum of the roots, which is 8. Look at this one. We don't have a value for a, but we have a value for minus b over a, which is 8. So we're just going to multiply this by negative 1. It will become minus 8. So x squared plus, x squared minus 8x plus, and we have a value for the c over a. This is 15 plus 15 equals 0. So you can use any of the two methods. You can work backwards, or you can use the sum and product of the roots. So let's have the last example. So we have we have 2 over 5 and negative 1 over 3. Insert page break. Let's first use the first method. Ang tawag dito? Work pataas or pababa. Work backwards pero pababa. Okay. Galing to sa x equals 2 over 5. Working backwards tayo pero if-flip ko lang yung sequence. Or x equals minus 1/3. Then, you can multiply by the LCD or you can cross multiply. So it will become 5x. 5x equals 2. Or in this case, it will become 3x minus 1 equals negative 1. Okay. Multiply. Itong kabila multiply by 5, yung kabila multiply by 3. And then you move 2 to the other side, it will become 5x minus 2 equals 0. Or, and then you move minus 1 to the other side. We have 3x plus 1 equals 0. So the factors are 5x minus 2 and 3x plus 1. And then you have to go, so ito na kasi yung parang zero product property. Tapos, kukuha natin yung pinanggalingan nun. It came from 5x minus 2 times 3x plus 1 equals 0. And then all I have to do is to multiply this. So 5x times 3x, that is 15x squared. 5x times 1, that is plus 5x. Minus 2 times 3, that's minus 6x. Minus 2 times 1, that's minus 2. Equals 0. 5x squared, 15x squared. 5x minus 6x, that is minus x. Minus 2 equals 0. So this is your corresponding quadratic equation. Now let's use the other method. Sum of the roots, x of 1 plus x of 2 is equal to 2/5 plus negative 1/3. Okay, how do we add this? LCD is 15. 15 divided by 5, that's 3 times 2, 6. 15 times divided by 3, that's 5 times 1, minus 5. So the sum of the roots is 1 over 15. How about the product of the roots? X of 1 times x of 2 equals 2 fifths times negative 1/3. So 2 times negative 1, that's negative 2. Over 5 times 3, that's 15. So the product of the roots is negative 2 over 15. Now, again, this is equivalent to negative b over a, and this is c over a. So ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. Then we divide everything by a, so it will become x squared plus b over ax plus c over a equals 0. And then let's put the values, let's substitute the values of negative b over a. We need b. We have a negative b over a, so we'll just multiply it by negative 1. So we'll get negative 1 over 15, x squared minus 1 over 15 x, and then for c over a, it's negative 2 over 15 minus 2 over 15 equals 0. Now, we can multiply everything by 15 to remove all the denominators. So multiply everything by 15, we'll get 15x squared minus x minus 2 equals 0. So thus, the values, or sorry, the quadratic equation is 15x squared minus x